morning. I'm Amanda Townsend. I grew up in Naples, right here off of Sandpiper Street. I graduated from high school at Lele High School in 1989. When I was 20 years old, my dad's second marriage happened right on this portico. The portico has lasted longer than that marriage, but that's what we're here to do, is celebrate historic buildings that last a long, long time. I'm really proud to be from Naples, and I'm extra proud to be your Collier County Museum Director. So welcome. I'm glad we're here this morning. I see some waves. Lisa Marciano, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? The flag is behind you. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So it is just a super fun day for us to celebrate the reopening of the Naples Depot Museum after over 3 long years since it was flooded with about 3 feet of water in Hurricane Ian. This building is precious to us and precious to the community. I can tell you my experience, and that is that I was working in the Emergency Operations Center, and I was supporting shelter operations when one of my peers in the EOC called me over and said, "You need to look at my computer screen." And I looked, and the closed-circuit cameras in the lobby of the Naples Depot were still working. There was still power, and there was still network, and there was 3 feet of water in the lobby, and that humongous round wooden desk was floating and bobbing around in what I can only describe as surf in the lobby. And of course, my heart just sunk. Thinking about what it was going to take, the kind of resilience that the county and the community was going to need to have to recover the depot. And it took a long time and an incredible amount of hard work, but we're here today to celebrate that. But before all that, the depot was a train depot, and it became a county museum. And I want to introduce you to the president of Southwest Heritage, Inc. This is the nonprofit that saved the depot from demolition in the 1970s. Lodge McKee is a steward of our community's history without measure. He is a true treasure to our community. He's a person who shows respect and trust before it's earned, and is someone who I've just had a pleasure to work with for over 9 years as a museum director. Please join me in welcoming Lodge McKee.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm Lodge McKee. I'm the chairman of a nonprofit corporation that was formed back in the 70s when the Seaboard Coastline announced that it was going to deaccession its railroad holdings, its properties, on the west coast of Florida, and this was one of those properties. Right away, a bit of a hue and a cry went up and said, we need to save this depot. It's an important landmark. It's actually one of only 2 landmarks in the city of Naples today that is individually nominated in the National Trust for Historic Places. Now, and so thanks to the effort of some private citizens who formed a nonprofit corporation and the JCs, the Naples JCs, we started raising money and were able to acquire this property and devise a business plan to fund the ongoing maintenance of it and keep it as a part of our community and a part of our historic resources. And it wasn't easy. But for the first 25 years, we prospered. We had about 600 members in Southwest Heritage back then, all contributing. We had fundraisers each year. to try to pay the bills for the maintenance and so forth. And we operated it as a civic and cultural center for small organizations in Naples that couldn't afford to have a headquarters of their own. And so we provided it for over 20 different organizations for a quarter of a century. It worked. But eventually, things began to change. Naples grew, and we were going to have to come up with a new plan for the Naples Depot. And all the while remembering that just over 200 or 100 years ago today, a locomotive pulled up just around the corner here in the parking lot called the Orange Blossom Special with the first passengers coming to Naples, Florida, a really important piece of transportation infrastructure, only a year being ahead of the opening of the Tamiami Trail across the Everglades. So we're standing on a piece of really important history. And now we're in a situation where we had to come up with a new business plan. The Southwest Heritage Group hired some consultants from Washington, D.C. They came down and did a design charrette. And they came back with one recommendation. This needs to be a museum. And not only does it need to be a museum, it needs to be the front door of the Collier County Museum system, which has 5 different entities in it, none of which ever had to be purchased by the city of Naples or Collier County. They've all come in through donations and various different agreements that have enabled us to enjoy them and hold them forward for future generations of people in Naples. So we got our depot and we had a flood. That's not the first one. 1960 was just about the same, Hurricane Donna. But Ian was really something, and to think that the water was here. And at City Hall, it was this high, all from that nice bay system over there. And it would, in all likelihood, happen again. So once again, we brought together a bunch of helping hands. And in this time, it was a federal government agency, FEMA. It was Collier County as the tenant of the Naples Depot, who has been faithfully discharging the maintenance of this building and improving it for the last 25 years. And lots of efforts of individual people. And once again, we're standing tall. In fact, it is the best preserved depot in the state of Florida. No questions asked. We have it. And the other thing that's wonderful about it is that people come here to celebrate the history of Naples. They don't come here to go to weddings or watch sales or the various different things that you do to try to keep things alive. They come here to celebrate history and learn about it. And so today we're celebrating the reopening of the museum in wonderful condition, splendid shape, and hope that this will carry on for years to come. Over my left shoulder, you're going to see you can see a little bit of construction going on. That's one of our newest displays, and it will depict Black history in Naples, Florida, in the baggage car there, and tell the story of how members of the Black community contributed to the transportation system in Naples. And this museum is indeed about how transportation affected the growth and expansion of Southwest Florida. So we're very fortunate to be here to celebrate today. Thank you for giving me a chance to give you a little bit of the background. And we look forward to good years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Lodge. Our next speaker is someone I've had the good fortune to be a public servant with for over 20 years. She has a really interesting origin story for her career in public service, and like many of us, it involves being thrown in the deep end, and she's been swimming a beautiful butterfly ever since. Please help me to welcome Trinity Scott.
Thank you, Amanda. When I came here today, I was telling Amanda my first memory of being at the depot was with my son. As little boys go through, they get interested in trains and all of that, and how fortunate was I as a young mother to have this treasure in our community to be able to bring him to. And I'll give you the example of my son was about this tall when I brought him here, and he's about this, probably about that tall now, it seems like. So just what a treasure for us here. As Amanda said, I'm Trinity Scott. I'm the department head for Transportation Management Services, and how appropriate for me to be here at a historic treasure for us of transportation for our community. Hurricane Ian, a very costly storm, weather disaster for us worldwide, the third costliest storm worldwide. After the conclusion of the 2022 hurricane season, the name Ian was retired from the rotating list, so we never have to go through another Hurricane Ian, which we're very, very, very happy to not have to go through that. That name invokes a reaction from us. And while there's little comparison in what the Naples Depot suffered at the hands of Hurricane Ian, the loss of life and property that many others suffered, the depot nonetheless was taken from us. For 3 years, we didn't have the pleasure of being able to have this opportunity to be able to come visit. And so today we're here to celebrate that. And historic buildings, they're historic for a reason. They've withstood the test of time. Amanda talked to you about a wedding that she experienced here many years ago. The communities value them. Our community values this depot for their aesthetic, the historic and symbolic qualities that they bring for our community. Ian wasn't the depot's first hurricane, and it's probably not going to be the last. We'll all pray that it is the last, but we know our storms are evolving. Our expert museum staff, after that storm, Amanda's witnessing that in the Emergency Operations Center. Her mind is already going to, what do we have to do to recover? She's already going through those motions before we could even get back here and put boots on the ground. Following the storm, they were able to assure that our artifacts on display were evacuated and properly cleaned for their preservation. Since the building's 2 levels, we're able to evacuate things upstairs to get them to drier ground, an evacuation zone, if you will. And they used preservation techniques so that none of our artifacts were destroyed. Preservation techniques as simple as utilizing distilled water. And my understanding is that the museum does some discussions on this, some museum TED Talks, if you will, about how to restore. And that can actually work for ourselves if we ever, hopefully, not get into that situation. But following the water coming out, we all began that long process of cleaning, clearing, hiring architects, engineers, designing the repairs. They had to be designed with state historic preservation guidelines and as well as FEMA. So now you've added an extra layer as well. And we're so proud today to open the doors to continue to protect and share the Naples and Collier County history that is encompassed in this depot. Today I want to thank the individuals that were part of bringing this depot back to life. And first and foremost is our Board of County Commissioners, and Commissioner Kowal will be speaking next. But the Board of County Commissioners for their leadership and support through this process. The Tourism Development Council for seeing the value of the museum system to our tourism economy. Southwest Heritage Inc. for the foresight of saving the depot and their partnership in entrusting its operation to Collier County. Friends of the Collier County Museums for their unwavering advocacy and financial support. And then many professionals who spent countless hours working on this project to work through the nuts and bolts of it. And there's a few of them here today that I'd like to point out, and that would be Collier County Facilities Project Management Supervisor Tony Barone, also Michael Levy, Project Manager, and our Consultant Project Management for Assistance, Felicia Kirby of Jacobs Engineering. Also, Architect Peter Kulicki of PK Studios, Historic Preservation Architect Tyler Paddock of Parker Mudgett Smith Architects, and the Panzica construction team led by Project Manager Jeff Walters. I hope today that you are as proud of those professionals as what I am, because they've been able to accomplish, under our supportive leadership of our board, to be able to bring our depot back to our community. Thank you so much.
I just want to add a couple of personal thank yous to museum staff, our collections team, Jennifer Guida and Tyler Esposito, certainly our Naples Depot Museum assistant Rebecca Kaufman, and absolutely 100% with every bit of her heart, our museum manager Lisa Marciano. This project could not have happened without her. Our next speaker is another public servant with a long and distinguished career in law enforcement. And when the rest of us would have retired and ridden off into the sunset, he chose to seek elected office and continue to serve. Please help me to welcome District 4 Commissioner Dan Kowal.
Well, good morning, everyone. Couldn't ask for a nicer day, right? I'm honored to be here today before you to speak about the depot and about what the county's museum department and the dedication that our private sectors in putting together a nonprofit to keep these treasures alive for us here. It's so important. You know, the depot has stood here for almost 100 years here at the corner of 9th and 5th Avenue. It's been a landmark. It's been basically the end of the line for a railroad that ran down the west side of Florida. I mean, this was it. This was the end of the line. And think about it, the pier was here in 1888, and the roads that traverse your way into Naples, this sleepy little fishing village that we call Paradise. There was only 2 railways to get here safely, and one was through the rail line in the 1920s, or you came by boat and got off the pier and came on shore from a boat. Because the roads themselves are just shell trails and dirt paths leading in here. Like you heard earlier, the 41 didn't even exist, or Alligator Alley didn't even exist, or 41 didn't exist, the Tamiami Trail. Definitely didn't exist going north here in the city of Naples. So when people were coming here to enjoy the paradise we know today, our beaches, the gateway to the Everglades, the gateway to Everglades City and the Gulf of Mexico, this is how you got here. This is one of the ways you got here. And it's such a treasure, because when people, I'll use wheels down, when they come in here, even today, they come in, the first thing they want to run to is Naples, because that's what they come. Everything's Naples, you come to Naples. But when you want to experience, which a lot of our visitors, we understand when they come here, about 60% of them want to know the history of where they're visiting. And the first place they seek out is the local museums. And when you're in the city of Naples, this is your first stop. This is the gateway that leads you to the other museums within the county. So it's very important. What's nice about it, when they're here, they understand that, we're a very young community in reality to the rest of the country. We've only hit our 100th year birthday in 23, which was a few years ago. And the depot's been here just as long. And that's such an important thing that helps build a community into the future, because this was a big part of people coming here, seeing what Naples had to offer, and then saying, you know what, maybe that's where I want to be someday. And I'll be honest with you, I've been here for 20-some years, and I can remember there used to be like a little mall or something over here, and they used to have like a flea market and stuff on the weekends. And I had a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old son, and that was the first time I ever came and walked over and checked out the museum here. And it was, it was quite an experience. And I got to learn, something I didn't know, even though being a resident at the time. And that's what's so important. We have new people come here every day to want to call Naples home. But to know that you're home and where you actually come to, it's important to understand the history of Naples. That way you have a little bit more, what I say, like skin in the game. Because if you understand what it truly Naples is and how Naples became Naples, you'll respect it that much more when you become a new resident. And then I want to speak about today, we're talking about the green train car over there and the historical connection to Naples. I'll give you a little history. We're going to talk about the individuals that worked on the luggage cars back in the 1920s, and that was our African American citizens. And a lot of them were employed through the railroad system, and they became, everybody knows them as porters. And it was a very highly respected position. The porter was the person everybody went to for any question they had to do about the railroad or anything in the cars, and we were traversing across the country from the north to the south. The porters were there to support the passengers, make sure their luggage was secure and kept safe. And a lot of people don't even know, but the porters that worked on the railroads back then was the actually first formed all African American union in the United States of America. The first ever. And when they came to like a town like Naples and worked around the railroad and worked on these cars that came here and the ones that presided here, they brought that back to the community. They created a whole new middle class in the African American community because of that, because of the hard work and because of the creation of their union at the time and the amount of money they had the opportunity to bring back to their communities and help with the building of the city we know today. So I just wanted to inflect a little light on that, and you're going to see a lot more. I know it's still under the process of construction, and I would like to thank everybody here that comes out and supports today and to continue support our vision here and keeping this train depot as a museum into perpetuity here in Collier County. Thank you so much.